It seems that most everybody has an aesthetic. Some aesthetics include soft, casual, grunge, vaporwave, and Instagram baddie. Most experiment with aesthetics during their adolescent years and finally settle on a main one during adulthood. Keep in mind, these are aesthetics that apply in real life, but in this video essay, I will take a look at the idea of having an aesthetic for your avatar in a virtual world. I will specifically take a look at Club Penguin, OurWorld, and Secret Builders. Let's dive into this topic. IRL aesthetics are often based on personality, experiences, and peers. Virtual world aesthetics usually stem from something different. It stems from inspirations from within the game. It could be from your avatar's house, such as the furniture or wallpaper that decorates it. It could be a piece of clothing or clothing style that speaks to you in the game, but maybe you would never wear it in real life. The majority of the time, it comes from specific locations or areas within the game that are usually designed with different aesthetics in mind. Many virtual worlds may tell players that their house is located in a neighborhood-type place within the game, but a lot of players, like my friends and I, would ignore that and decide for ourselves which part of the virtual world we would live in. Now that we have some context on virtual world aesthetics, we can take a closer look at my personal experiences with it. As you can see, Club Penguin had a lot of different locations. My personal favorite spots were the town, plaza, and forest. Having multiple favorite spots made it hard for me to choose where I wanted my penguin to live, but I finally decided on the forest. This decision affected my penguin's aesthetic and personality in the game. I liked the idea of my penguin living in the forest because I would often make her live off-grid during roleplay with others, so naturally it was the perfect choice. With that, I chose a pirate aesthetic for my penguin. I chose this pirate hat here because my 9-year-old self thought it was super fashionable and adventurous. I also loved the fact that the hat had blue accents on it. I would often pair it up with this lovely green dress because anybody who knows me knows that I love to wear dresses. I thought that this particular dress had a unique enough design that I could take on my many exciting journeys, but it was also functional enough for my penguin to survive in the woods with. Although sometimes I'd be mocked for my aesthetic, others would come to admire it and associate it with me. I would consider this particular aesthetic a success. The locations or islands on OurWorld were already set with pre-selected aesthetics. Alongside the islands, all of the clothes would come from different designer stores/brands that would have a similar aesthetic of the island on which the designer store could be found on. For me, my favorite island was Electric Avenue. Electric Avenue's aesthetic was influenced by grittiness, rebellion against conventions, and music. My favorite designer stores were Blue Cow and Otto. Blue Cow was on Electric Avenue, so it pretty much had the same aesthetic, and Otto is described by OurWorld as having avant-garde fashion inspired by futuristic/technologically advanced designs. It wasn't hard for me to pick which island I wanted my avatar to live on. Obviously, it was going to be Electric Avenue. I interpreted Electric Avenue to be located within a big city, and since I played this as a teenager, I heavily admired cities and would associate them with the freedom to dress unconventionally without the scrutiny of those around you, unlike the medium-sized, mostly agricultural town I live in now. So when I chose outfits for my avatar, it would always reflect my attitude towards large cities at the time. This was my most common outfit on OurWorld. Both the tank top and the skirt came from Blue Cow, and my boots came from Otto. I particularly chose the skirt because I really liked that it was stylistically torn, and I thought it showed my status of being a rebel quite clearly. As for the top, I liked the roughly pleated bottom it had, and that the overall style and color matched with the skirt. For accessories, I made my avatar wear these elongated bracelets, which I believed at the time to go with the rebel theme I was going for, and of course a pair of headphones. I threw on a wedding veil to make it seem more unconventional, and just like that, my aesthetic came together. Now you may be thinking that my aesthetic has been decent so far. It may not be the best, but it's somewhat cohesive. Well, let me welcome you to a monstrosity known as Secret Builders. When I was in elementary school, I was introduced to a virtual world called Dizzywood, which later became Secret Builders. I played this game out of desperation whenever there was nothing interesting happening on Club Penguin or Pixel Hollow, and let me say, I have always hated its art style. Now, just like OurWorld, each of its location had a theme to it. The location I decided to choose for my character to live in was the Magic Bazaar, or what we would say in Bengali as the Magic Bazaar. Unfortunately, most of Secret Builder's clothing options were hideous, and some of the better options required more coins, which meant you would have to get a membership. Even as a child, I knew it wasn't worth it, so I ended up looking like this. This one is hard to look at. It has no clear aesthetic besides a basic starting avatar look. It's dull, plain, and boring. It has no inspiration or motivation behind it, and it's just straight up ugly. What I didn't have in style, I had to make up in personality. Since the Magic Bazaar had a huge emphasis on games, I would always be hanging out in brain drain games and declared my avatar's favorite spot on Secret Builders. I also pretended to run my own tea shop in town, which was probably one of the more exciting activities I did on that website. Unlike the other aesthetics I explored in this video, this one was a failure. If you're wondering why I didn't talk about Pixie Hollow, it's because my history with Pixie Hollow is much more complicated than any of the virtual worlds I talked about here. I will cover Pixie Hollow in 2 other separate videos. I hope all of you guys that are new to my channel will stick around for those and other projects I'll be doing. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a great day.